Welcome to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
Hey, welcome back, everyone, for another HVAC Success Secrets Revealed on Whiskey Wednesday, where we have good conversations with good people, and any good conversation worth having is worth having drunk. Welcome to the hot seat this week. We got Jonathan Buhidar.
Figure it out.
Buhidar, right? Buhidar?
Yep. Buhidar. Yeah.
Bam. All right.
Nailed it.
Over it. We got
Cheers.
it. Second
Cheers.
take. Cheers, boys. Awesome. Jonathan is from San Antonio, Texas. He is the owner of Loyal Home Services, where he specializes in HVAC. That's what he grew up in. He spent over 20 years in HVAC, the last year and a half running his business, and has also expanding into other areas of home service as well, including carpet cleaning, power washing, painting, tile service. Jonathan, welcome, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
No worries. So let's dive into it. Tell us a little bit more about Loyal Home Services, where the dream came from, how you got into HVAC.
Originally started off in Boy Scouts, man. Was a junior adult leader of a Boy Scout troop. After that, got pulled aside by one of the kids' fathers that owned his own HVAC company, and basically pulled me and another guy aside and said, "Hey, I like your leadership skills. I like what you're doing. Come work with me for the summer and make some extra cash." So, okay, cool. So I went and worked for him, started getting into it, and said, I'll never do this for the rest of my life. And slowly but surely went to service school, got all my certs in service school, started getting contractor licenses and everything else, and said, you know what? I'm doing millions for other people. Might as well do millions for myself. So let's start a company. Started a company.
There you go. And in your first year, $680,000 in sales in your first year in business, which is nothing to sniff at. So, Boy Scouts, Jesse West. I love this feature. I just want to show this all the time. So there you go, right? So, I love Boy Scouts. Actually, I don't love Boy Scouts. I love the feature of that, but I was never a Boy Scout. Fuck.
Oh boy. Good
I
stuff.
had a roaring start.
It was great. Taught me a lot of shit, but I'd probably never go back.
Right? Well, awesome. Well, let's dive into the business itself then. So right now, how big's the team?
Me and 3 guys run the field. I've got an office staff that he runs the bookkeeping, the SEO work, the website, web development, all our search engines, our keywords, the whole 9 yards. So, I mean, it's slowly growing, and I'm still looking for guys to hire just to fulfill all of the jobs that we're doing.
Love it.
Yeah.
So when you're hiring then, because your business is a little bit different, right? You've got the HVAC side, you've got the carpet cleaning, the power washing, all the other stuff. Are you hiring people specific for those services, or are you hiring for guys that can do it all?
Not necessarily. I mean, when it comes down to the carpet cleaning and, the simple stuff that normal people can do, I'll pretty much pull a person in and say, hey, during my interview, I'll sit them down and say, hey, you're here to apply for carpet cleaning, but we also do this slew of stuff. Would you be interested in learning this? And if they say yes, great. I had one kid told me about the painting. He was like, no, I'd rather stick to my coloring books. And I'm like, okay, fine. You can do. And he graduated from HVAC school. So I understand he might want to do HVAC, but he doesn't want to do anything else. So I'm only going to use him on that perspective, and that's it. So that's the biggest thing, is just finding people that feel free to do everything. Now, are they going to go farther? Yes. If you're designated to one spot, hey, maybe I got work for you, maybe I don't. That's kind of how it goes.
Totally.
Well, and I know that you're chatting your philosophy on hiring guys is generally you look for new guys out of green, right? You don't want the seasoned vets. So what's your philosophy on new guys versus vets, and why do you go after new guys?
I mean, the biggest thing for me is I can take a Kirby salesman that shows up at my front door trying to sell me a fucking vacuum, and say, hey, you ever sold an HVAC system? And bring them in, because I'm not breaking their bad habits. It's somebody's taught them back years in the past, and they're just comfortable in their way. And I just have to keep breaking and breaking and breaking. No, it's like taking a brand new horse and breaking them. And you break that one horse to do its one job, and that's what that horse knows. And that's it. That's the biggest thing is taking somebody in, show them what I want them to do, show them the way I want to do it and the quality of work I want done. I'd rather take somebody that has no experience than has 15 years of experience that I got to babysit, pretty much.
Totally. No, it makes a ton of sense, right? And then you can get them set up the right way. You don't have to break the bad habits. I love it. And a lot of those, the number one skill that you look for that not a lot of people in the industry have, especially who are specialists in repair and in maintenance and installs, is that communication skill. So being able to take someone that knows how to talk and knows how to communicate and get along with people and then teach them how to do those technical aspects, that's huge.
Yeah. Well, and the biggest thing on that end is I always tell the guys when they're at a customer's house, I'm like, you're not selling the company, honestly, because you're honestly selling yourself. Because if they don't trust you, they're not going to buy from you. Correct. If they trust you and they feel that you're instilling the best for their home and their family, they'll buy from you. I've got tons of customers when I got out there and after maybe 2 hours of being at their home, me and them are hunting buddies now. That I have codes to their gate to where they're not home. And I say, hey, I'm in the neighborhood and it's raining. You care if I go hunting? Yeah, go ahead. And I'll unlock the gate, go right in, park my truck, and go sit in a deer blind. That's the kind of people that trust me. And they say, hey, we're going to trust you. We're going to trust your company. We're going to trust your guys. Go for it. Do what you got to do.
Love it. In terms of building the brand now with Loyal Home Services, what are some things that you're doing to expand beyond HVAC and let people know, let your customers know what it is that you're all into and how you're getting the word out to them?
My biggest thing is when we get to a job site and, we're fixing the air conditioner and I start going through and I start looking at stuff on the home and, once I sit down with them and fix their problem specifically with the air conditioner, I let them know at the end of the meet when I'm giving them my card and say, hey, we also do XYZ. And if you ever need help, if you ever need a project, we're going to consider it and take it to the same exact display that we did with the air conditioner. And we'll do it across your entire home. So if you need us, please feel free to call me, let me know, and I'll be more than willing to help you or at least give you a bid.
Well, and you're mentioning something too that, and I missed the part of it. I was probably getting my whiskey, getting it ready. But you'd mentioned something about handing a bottle of wine off to your clients. At what stage do you do that? And I guess, well, let's back that up a little bit. What do you do for a gift? How do you give that to them? And at what stage do you do that in?
So if I've gone out to a house and I've already built a rapport with the customer, and they trust me to sign the paperwork to do a large job for them, I might say, okay, well, we signed paperwork on Friday. We're going to go have it installed on Saturday. Saturday before I get there or before the guys get there, I'll go pick up a bottle of wine, maybe a $25 gift card, and then show up and say, hey, Jonathan, I'm back again. Just want to make sure everything in your home's going okay. Let me meet with the guys. Let me talk with them, make sure everything's going okay. Let me see if they need anything. And I'll ask them sometimes, hey, do you guys need anything? No, okay, we're cool. Okay, cool. Go do my thing, come back and say, hey, just for a small token of thank you for letting Loyal Home Services take care of your needs, here's a bottle of wine and a $25 gift card just to say thank you for allowing us in your home. And hand it off to them, shake hands, everybody's good. Me walk out and let the job finishing it done.
Wicked.
That's good. A lot of people don't, recognize or realize the importance of just a little thank you gift, right? It can go a long ways by a small token of your appreciation. A bottle of wine and, a gift card, you're spending, 30, 40, 50 bucks, 60 bucks, depending on the bottle of wine, for several thousands of dollars. That's an easy decision, and it brings in repeat business for you down the road, and that's something to not be discounted on that. So,
well, and the biggest thing is when the wife likes the wine, and every time they go to the store, like, hey, you remember that bottle that Loyal Home Services got for us? Let's get like 3 or 4 of those, and the name keeps coming up. So yeah, I mean, it's great, you know.
Yep. No, it's a huge thing, and that that name recognition is an all important thing. So, I mean, this is kind of related. I mean, I have written down something about McDonald's, and I don't know if you remember this. And the only reason that it sparked is because you chatted about McDonald's. We might bounce around a little bit here, and I'm like, hey, name recognition, McDonald's. But do you remember this quote when we chatted about getting on the show? McDonald's cheeseburgers are the same no matter where you go.
Correct.
Do you remember talking about that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if I was to say, hey, McDonald's cheeseburgers are the same no matter where you go, what's that mean to you?
It's all going to taste the same. I should be able to walk in one across town and walk in another one on the other side of town. They should be the same goddamn burger.
Well, exactly, right. And when you look at a business and growing a business, you look at something like the E-Myth. I know that you chatted about reading the E-Myth, a little bit earlier, when we're getting prepared and creating a franchise model, right? And that's something that's replicatable. And, you think about gifting, and that's something that's easily replicatable, right? On that. So what are some things that you have done to essentially create the franchise model in your business that things can, be like that? So it's essentially the same experience for everyone.
The biggest thing are my checklists that every single one of my guys has to go through that checklist. If they have altered it and I get it back, first thing I do is pull them in the office, be like, why was this changed? I had it a specific way. Why did you mark that out and change it? And I'll go through all of it with them. And I want, whether I'm there personally doing it myself, because I've got some high-end clients that I'm the only one allowed on the premises. So even if I call them and say, hey, I can't be there today, but one of my guys is going to be there, but don't worry about it. He's going to treat you the same exact way that I do when I'm there. And he's going to go through the same exact pattern, exactly the way I treat your home when I'm there. And that's my biggest thing is, if I'm going to be there and I'm doing it my way and you're coming in behind me, it better be the same way.
Right.
Because anything outside of that, you can go do it yourself somewhere else.
100%. So I know you mentioned you have a few different company checklists, one for service, one for sales, one for maintenance programs on that. Our natural default is to always go to the sales side of the business for us. I think that's given Evan and I's background, on that. So what's your sales checklist? I mean, if you want to share it, I mean, it could be your little secret, on there, but what are some checklists? What are some steps that you have in your sales process to make sure that is always the same?
Honestly, it's sitting the customer down and figuring out exactly what they want, not what I want to sell them. It's not my fucking house. It's your fucking house. Yeah. I'm not going to sell you something that I wouldn't put in my own home if you don't want it. So sitting them down saying, okay, Mr. Smith, your kids have allergies. I can see the inhalers and I can see all the different medications, this and that. You got one kid running around with boogers coming out of his face. I understand what's going on. What are your concerns on your home? How do you want to fix that? And we'll start building a list so that when I show them a $20,000 ticket, I have something to pull back out of. And I've got my checklist saying, okay, we went through step by step on exactly what you wanted, because it's a need, or it's a want, not a need. You wanted it. So I understand you didn't wake up this morning thinking you were going to spend $20,000 on an air conditioning system, but what out of this list that me and you put together do you feel like you don't want or you don't need? He's like, well, wait a minute, I want it all. Okay, well, here's the proposal for it all. Now, me being an owner, it's a little bit harder for make a phone call and me, hey, boss, can we go ahead and discount this a little bit? Why should we discount work? Maybe throw in a couple extra years on a maintenance program. Say, okay, well, Mr. Smith, if you sign today on everything that you wanted to protect you and your home and your family, how about instead of only giving you 1 year of a maintenance program, let's go ahead and bump it out to the full 10 years of the warranty. What is it? You're still getting your foot in the door. You're just taking $79 a visit out? Literally on a maintenance program, you're selling paper anyways. You're not really selling anything outside of that because they can cancel at any time. Or somebody might be throwing a special on the internet and say, hey, I'll service your unit for $39. No, don't worry about it. Loyal Home Services gave us that for 10 years for free when we bought the original system. Okay, cool. That's my biggest thing is finding out what the customer wants, not what I want to sell. That to me, that's huge. Because I tell all my guys, if I find out you're going in there and selling them shit that they didn't need, we're gonna have a talk. And that's my biggest thing. Because I wouldn't want somebody to do that to my mom when I'm not in that city to take care of her unit. You know what I mean?
Totally.
100% honesty and transparency.
All day.
Well, and that's where, when you filter everything back through that, whether it's a want or a need for them or it's a want or a need for you, for them, right? Because there is a balance between that. Making a recommendation of something that they don't know that they need, that's a good thing, right? Or vice versa. They think they want something, but it's actually not going to provide them the result that they want.
Yeah.
Letting them know that that's not going to serve them appropriately. So you got to walk them back through that. So it's such a fine balance between the two. And again, if you're just honest and transparent about what it is that you offer, away you go, right? Yelp ads in our world is a great analogy for that. I'm not a big fan of it. However, depends on where you are, and it depends on what the market is dictating is valuable, right? If you're in California, you should probably do it. Texas, not so much.
Now, a lot of small town people, as you say Yelp, they don't even know what the hell it is.
Exactly.
Did you hear my dog outside? No, your dog did not Yelp. I'm talking about Yelp on the internet. Like, well, what's the internet?
Totally. Right. You got to come back to that and just make sure that what you're offering people is legit, and just be real, be honest, and be truthful, and away you go.
Yeah. I rather make 20 friends than one customer. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, if they're your friend and they understand what you're doing, they're going to call you.
Yep.
And the word of mouth is huge compared to SEO and everything else, because one pissed off customer is going to tell 10 people. One satisfied customer may tell 2.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Yep. No, that was the most powerful form of advertising. The problem is it's not reliable, right? It's gravy when it comes in, but you can't count on it for everything.
No, that always me. I mean, my dad always used to tell me that one shit wipes out 1,000 attaboys.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, and it's so true, and it rings so true. It's an unfortunate reality that we have to deal with. And let's be real. If you have, every company is going to eventually get a shitty 1-star review. It's going to happen no matter how good that you want to be, and no matter how much you strive for excellence. So it's gonna get there. So let me ask you this.
Your response is so key to that, right?
Well, that's what I was going to ask Jonathan. I mean, if you got a 1-star review, if somebody came in and shit all over your company or whatever they said, what would be your response? How do you handle a 1-star review?
I will literally, I'll call them personally and be like, hey, I understand. I read your concerns, and you got to listen, empathize, ask questions, and then problem solve around it. So I'll go back through and say, okay, I'll listen to them. I'll empathize with them. And then I'm going to ask them for a resolution on what they feel they're comfortable with in reasonable areas. I'm not going to give it away for free, but I'm going to say, hey, what can we do to go about this issue that you felt you were wronged with, and see how we can repair it? And can we come to a resolution, fix the problem? And then after that, hey, do you mind going and are you satisfied? Did we take care of your needs? Are we okay at this point? Yes. Okay, we're good. Okay, do you go ahead and either remove the comment, or can you go back and either adjust it for me? Cool. No, no harm, no foul.
Yeah. And a lot of people, I think, miss that step of, hey, can you go back and do an edit, right? I mean, you don't necessarily have to delete the first part of your review, but if you put an edit on there or an update and saying, hey, this is what happened, this is how they handle it. Oh my God, changed my complete opinion, but I still wanted to leave this here for clarity's sake, because it makes you more real when you have some of that. But as long as they understand, I mean, that's a good thing to add to that itself.
Well, and especially these days with the internet, everything's fucking tracked on it. So if you see the original ones there and they keep clicking on the comments and you start seeing where it all kind of went through, and then the one paragraph was this long, and then the ending comment was this long on how we fixed it. Well, guess what? People are going to read that shit, and they're going to get it like, hey, this guy actually gives a shit,
Yep.
100%. Well, changing directions and getting back into the checklist then, when it comes to service, how is it that you've built out your checklist? Because I know this is something that a lot of guys struggled with, is documenting what it is that they do so that they can hire and train appropriately, as opposed to just, hey, just watch me and figure it out. So how is it that you've gone about documenting your system and your process so that other guys can follow suit, whether they're with you or not?
My biggest thing is the checklist that we have is a digital checklist. So you're going to go through it, and you're going to have it on an iPad or something like that. You can email it to the customer. We were using House Call Pro for a while. And with that, I can upload those files into it to where, hey, I'm at Mr. Smith's house. Here's your checklist. We're going to go through, and it basically has red, yellow, and green. Red, imminent failure. Green is possibly going to fail. Or yellow is possibly going to fail. Green, you're good. And you go through it and you fill that out. You email it to the customer, and once they have their copy of it, you sit down with them and you go through it step by step. Look, this is everything in the red column that we need to fix today. Mm-hmm. And this is something in the near future we may need to look at. But everything in the green, you always bring it back to the positive. Everything in the green is good. Mm-hmm. But we do have these issues that came up. And you build your ticket off of that. And that's how you get the one lump sum of the amount on the red. Some customers would say, hey, go ahead and take care of the red and the yellow. And you get a bigger ticket when you walk away.
Right.
And then you always throw on the add-ons. Hey, you may want to add this surge protection, air purification, maybe a little bit more insulation in the attic. And then now, instead of you went off that one checklist where you're getting all the revenue from, now you got a whole nother revenue stream behind it that you're gaining off of. So it's just pretty much making the guys use that form. And if I get the call and I look it over and I say, hey, where the hell that form? Where's that form? Oh, I didn't use it. Well, we're gonna have a talk, because that's why I built the thing.
How many questions would you say are on, how many things do you look at on the maintenance form itself, the service form?
We offer a 70-point checklist. So the checklist goes over 70 points of an HVAC system.
So with that, we have a question. Is that in-house call pro from AT Madam here? Is that in-house call pro, or is that something that you designed yourself and put it in-house call pro?
Correct. Yeah, that's something I designed years ago that I actually had in a paper form, to where I was constantly using my scanner, just scanning the same document over and over and over again, doing printouts. And I'd sit there at night stapling all of them together and have them all sitting in my clipboard. And then I said, fuck it, I'm putting this digital form so I don't have to do scanners anymore and buy ink cartridges and all this other shit I'm going through. And so I made it a digital form now, and that's where it's at now. But I do have the original paper form somewhere in my office. They're in here somewhere. I just have to dig them out.
But I mean, why, if it's all digital, right? I mean, that's I love the fact that, I mean, obviously we're a digital marketing company, and so a lot of all of our stuff is digital. But Evan and I live in different cities, so the more digital you can go, I think the better and the easier it is for some people. I mean, some of the older techs, but I mean, you're training new guys, right? But some of the older guys might have a little bit of a challenge with it. But if you coach them and teach them, it becomes a lot more, it's easier, right? And your customers almost expect and want some form of a digital component to what it is that you're doing, because if you do that, you're like, oh, you're in you're in the 2020s now. It seems so weird to say 2020s. You're in the 20s. We should just short form. You're in the 20s. We're not referring to the 1920s.
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny you say that, because I always tell the guys, I can fix just about anything, but I can break a fucking computer. I can do it. I think you guys can do it. And I was like, because I was that guy that was doing this as I typed.
Chicken pecking.
Yeah, that's how I typed. I can break a fucking computer. You tell me, hey, unplug your router. I'm like, where is it? I'm like, what does it look like?
Yeah. Well, I was it's funny, the unplug your router part. That was actually before his Jonathan's video was blurry, and like, something's wrong with your internet. He's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, turn off. Your family's probably using something on the internet. Turn off an iPad. Turns off the iPad. Boom. Clarity comes through in the video. Picture's perfect. So Tandu tech support added again. Except for, I think we still have a couple open tickets in our household that if my wife was watching, she'd be like, yep, you still haven't fixed it yet. So not everything's that
watch your comments.
Yeah. She's outside with the dog, so I don't think she's watching it live, so we're good. Saved there. So
love it, man. Well, as far as like I asked you before the show what your specialty was, you said sales. So I would love to hear a little bit as to how you transition that conversation, because it sounds like you almost do like a good, better, best. Good being everything that's in the red.
Oh, did he freeze on your end too?
Plus,
turn the iPad off. Turn the iPad off.
Yeah, he was. You were frozen, man.
I was frozen there.
In time. Yeah.
Nice.
So good times.
You know where I was going with that. Where did it cut off?
I don't know. I was typing a note, so you were going on a question. I was like, I'll type the note. So
all right, sweet. So good, better, best, right? Yeah. Your red being everything that's good. You need to do that. Yellow being, the better option with all the red and all the yellow. Best being both of those plus some of the air quality, the surge protection. How is it that you present those three options, and how do you present those best options, those add-ons, those extra features that they don't need, but they're good to have? How do you present those in such a way that it makes it feel like it is a need for them?
A lot of it is I always take it back to the family aspect, because we are a family owned and operated company. And so, I mean, when I'm sitting there talking with a customer, I'm not talking to them as, hey, I'm John Smith, this badass sales guy. No, I'm talking to them like if you're my fucking neighbor, and I'm expressing to you, hey, I noticed your unit sounds like shit outside, and you got a whole bunch of stuff going on with it, and I'm just, maybe we need to do this and at least take care of that one problem. Or, it might be better to do this and we could take care of it all. I was like, because, I did that to my house not long ago, and my electric bills went down. I sleep at night a lot better because my unit's quiet. I don't have to worry about my neighbors hearing it and knocking on the door at 2 a.m. because they can hear my unit, or they think the thing's about to blow up outside. You just kind of got to break it down to them. And then when it comes down to a price, well, we offer financing. So I'm saying, okay, well, I've got, and I always break it down that way. Underneath each category, I'm going to have the lump sum or a 9.99% APR. If it's a standard repair, I might put it for 3 to 5 years at 9.99. Low interest rate, low payment factor, because it's normally only about $3,000 to $4,000, maybe a repair. But if they're going for a system, we say, hey, well, I'll split it up in the system upgrades with good, better, best, and say, hey, I've got and I always tell them it's either this amount or a monthly payment of, and tell them the payment. Because then I'm not necessarily telling you, hey, you need financing. No, I'm just saying, hey, we have that available. If you don't want to come out of pocket straight up front, especially these time of days where with COVID and everything else going on, hey, you don't have to. I've got a monthly breakdown, and there's no pre-penalty payments to pay it off. And a lot of times they're like, oh, I didn't even know you guys offered that. I'm like, well, yeah, it's right there. I already did the calculation for you. All we got to do is pull my iPad out, see what you get approved for, and we'll go from there. Okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead and let me see it. And hand it over to them and just sit there and twiddle my fingers and wait,
The power of choice.
Yeah. That's huge for for customers, especially because I'm not insulting them by saying, well, it's a monthly payment of $28. And some, if they're a good, healthy company or a good, healthy family, maybe they don't like people throwing the financing at them. Right. Maybe they rather, hey, I'm going to put it on my gold card. Don't worry about it. But at least give them the option to do it.
Totally.
So you mentioned gold card. What's the gold card?
Amex gold card.
Oh, gotcha. I wasn't sure if it was. I thought it was like a gold card, not a gold card. So
no, gold card.
So like a gold card. Maybe that's something that you could do. Is instead of like a needs versus wants. Hey, here's the goals. Here's what you should have in your system in your house. That's what I thought it was. So obviously,
no. I've got one customer that every time, doesn't matter what I present to him, he's Jonathan, act like it's your house and just chunks that gold card on the table. I'm like, let's add everything, like.
So, hey, you got to love the points, man. I know I love using credit card for the simple fact of points. It's just like pay it off every month. We pay zero in interest, yet they give us all these points. They're like, sweet, might as well.
Yeah.
So works for us.
Sweet. Well, in terms of the business itself, then getting back to how you structured this. Oh, where'd that go?
He had
pour another whiskey. There we go. All right. So
I didn't want you to see all my background of my the office itself. I was I've tried
a second there.
Yeah, I've tried to limit sometimes the whiskey that I drink, but today I think it's just going to be one of those days.
It's one of those days.
I got a whole bottle sitting next to me just so we can.
What I do know, I got this. It's actually Signal Hill. We should start doing shout-outs and getting free whiskey. But then I think you have to change your terms of service of YouTube.
I got Southern Comfort.
Oh,
nice. That's a big bottle. So
yeah, it's a gallon. So
wanting to be the one-stop shop. What was the dream behind that? Why the one-stop shop? Why was that something that you wanted to chase?
The biggest thing, I just growing up in the construction industry, just seeing, being at houses and seeing one contractor there, and then they got another contractor there, and then you got 5 trucks parked on the street pissing off the neighbors because you're parked in front of their house, and their mom might be coming in town, and there's a truck parked there, and now an 80-year-old lady's got to walk down the street to get to the house, stuff like that. I said, you know what? Why not do a one-stop shop? One, they're already familiar with you. They know you, they know the company, they know your face. And what is it going to take if you're there for 2 or 3 days compared to one? You got the name recognition sitting out in front of the house. Be like, and the neighbors coming over like, well, man, that truck was there for like 3 or 4 days. What'd they do? Well, they fixed the AC, they did the water heater, they did some tile work, they did this. Oh, they do all that? Well, yeah, they're a one-stop shop. And that's, to me, it just kept coming around. It's like, why let other people take that pie or that piece of the pie when I can have the whole damn pie and have my customer satisfied with it,
Well, and on that note, I don't want to. So somebody might be sitting here thinking, okay, cool, one-stop shop. I'm going to go do all of that. I'm going to put that into my business. What are some steps that, and in your HVAC is your still your big thing, for the others are just kind of add-ons. So if somebody's sitting there thinking, okay, I want to do this too, what are some steps to safeguard your bread and butter so you don't lose focus? He who chases 2 rabbits catches none. So what are you doing to mitigate that in your business?
The biggest thing is feeling out the feel of it on one, how is it going to run? How is it going to be structured? Do I trust the people that I'm going to have out there doing those other services while I'm focusing on HVAC? Now, do I have the time in my schedule to go check on the rest of this stuff? It doesn't have to be that day where I go back to that customer, maybe hand them a bottle of wine. It could be 2 days after that or whatever fits their schedule. But at least being able to go back and check the quality, check everything that's going on. One, making sure you've got the right process in place for the people that are filling those jobs. And 2, do you trust them? That ultimately, I think it comes down, do you trust the people that are doing the work without you doing it yourself? That to me, that's huge,
Well, Well, and there's something to be said about that too, is that a lot of people, and again, I go back to the E-Myth, that it's a great book. There's a lot of great concepts in that. A lot of guys have a tough time relinquishing control of a certain parts of their business because they started it by themselves. And you have to know that, okay, well, it's never going to be 100% of you, but you have to be okay with like 80% or 90% and getting to that level, right? So obviously you're in the process of relinquishing that, to those other guys because you want to grow your business. So somebody's sitting here thinking, okay, well, that's fine. How do you give up control? How do you trust somebody to run parts of your business? What are some tips for that?
A lot of times you've got to keep beating it into your head that, hey, you cannot be as much as you want. You cannot be at two places at one time. And like I had a helper with me one day, and I'm used to doing the physical labor because I grew up running ductwork in an attic. So, I'm used to just manhandling shit and getting it done. And it was his first day with me. He's working with me, and we're ripping out a condenser, and I've got it on the dolly and this and that. And I'm huffing and puffing, bringing it across, and he looks at me and say, "Hey, Jonathan," or he called me Mr. Jonathan. "Hey, Mr. Jonathan." What? He's like, "Didn't you hire me to do the bitch work?" And I it kind of took me back when he said that, and I'm like, "Well, yeah, I did." I'm like, "Get the fuck over here and pull it yourself." I'm like, why'd you even let me grab it? He's like, "Dude, you were going like a mile a minute. I didn't know when to tell you to stop." But that's where I had to kind of take back my steps and be like, "Well, fuck. If you're gonna hire people to do this, let them do it. Until something happens where I do have to step in, then great. But if they're there for a reason, let them fulfill that reason, and kind of slap yourself on the hand and be like, hey, dude, stop. Like, let it go, And it was funny that day when he told me that. And it kind of the whole ride home when I was taking him home, I'm like, man, he got my brain spinning, I was like, I never thought of it that way. And he was like, well, that's what you hired me for, right? It's like, well, yeah, I guess, It's like, all right. But we were on an even understanding about it,
Well, and it's hard because it's your baby, right? Like letting go of that part of the business sometimes, and that control is the most difficult thing to do. It's not easy when that's all you've done for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And especially running it strictly out of my truck by myself.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. And unless you, and there are guys that just want to do that. They want to do it by themselves, and they don't want they don't want to go through the process of hiring. They don't want to grow too big, and that's fine. That's their thing, and that's what makes them happy. But anyone that wants to grow, anyone that wants to scale, like it is an absolute necessity to hire and relinquish control.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to, and you've got to be able to be in that position to take a step back and say, hey, if I want, instead of a $1.7 million a year, I want a $4 million a year. It's like, well, you ain't gonna do it by yourself. You're gonna need help doing it. So figure it out.
No, 100%. Awesome. Well, as we start to wrap up here, I know you had an offer that you wanted to extend to anyone that was feeling like they were struggling in sales a little bit or needed some help in sales. So did you want to chat a little bit about that in terms of what you wanted to offer to people?
I do actually, yeah. So instead of paying these large training companies on, I can provide this and I can provide this, a lot of the training that I've been to, as I sat through the classes, I'm like, oh, I remember this from, years ago when I went through that one. It just kind of lit a fire under my ass. And just like, oh, yeah, well, maybe I should bring that up more often. But if anybody has any kind of questions, anything like that on the sales end, you are more than welcome to give me a call for free. I ain't going to charge you a dime. I'll talk to you for a little bit, tell you some of my strategies. I'm even open to sharing those checklists with you. I don't mind. It took me a couple of years to figure it out, but if I can help out other people, it's the same thing if I wanted somebody to help my mom and I'm not in that state. I'm more than welcome to help them. So yeah, you guys, except for if you're in the San Antonio area, I'm sorry, but
if you want to call him, obviously, asterisk, no San Antonio phone calls. So his number is on the screen, but of course, as we will have this on multiple platforms, you might be listening along and not being able to watch it. 210, or I guess that's the Canadian talk, 210, 210. I should talk in American. 210-556-5244. Says 210-556-5244. Shoot him a call or a text if you want to find him on the old Facebooks, facebook.com/Jonathan with an AN at the end, not an EN, BUHIDAR. And of course, you want to find his company out, loyalhomeservices.com. That's loyalhomeservices.com. Take a look, get in touch. He will give you that free info. And we can't thank you enough for that, because obviously helping guys out in the trade is super important, for us. And that's part of why we do our show.
That's the biggest thing, man, is even with trainees coming in, I always tell them flat out, you can call me any time of day. I will answer unless I'm standing in front of a customer. And other than that, I will help you and guide you through any way you need. And let's make it work. That's the same way I felt when I came into the industry and I was running ductwork. And somebody said, hey, you want to braise today? I'm like, fuck no, I don't want to touch those torches. I'm like, oh, that's not that bad. I'm like, no, I'm afraid of burning myself. Well, guess what? I burned myself a couple times, but I figured it out. But that's the thing, is having somebody to train you and teach you and take you under their wing, or the guy on the job that says, fuck you, go figure it out yourself. I'm like, okay, well, that helps.
Thanks for the tip. Glad you showed up today.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because we've had this conversation a couple times on this show. Even like, you may as well give the tips to the guys that want it and the guys that are hungry and eager and willing to ask the question, because 95% of people aren't going to implement it anyways.
Yeah.
Yep.
So at least if you give it to them, you look like the shining knight and you gave away your best tips and best secrets. And for the 5% that do implement it, they were going to figure it out anyways. So you may as well give it to them and you look good in their eyes too.
Well, and honestly, it's going to make your job easier because you're not having to do so much. You got somebody else that knows exactly what you know that's going to be right there along. I guarantee you that person is going to go stand by your side instead of the guy that said, hey, fuck you, go figure it out yourself.
Absolutely.
100%. So I did want to touch on something today. It is February 24th as we're recording this. We do have pink shirts on. The one that you're wearing, Jonathan, is as close to pink as you can find. It is Anti-Bullying Day. And we did want to draw a little bit of light on that. I can't imagine what it's like to be somebody in today's day and age, a kid, specifically growing up. Like, I was bullied as a kid. I remember getting dragged across the football field by my underwear in like grade 4 and 5. Like, just not fun shit. That, by the way, doesn't keep me up at night. I don't really, I haven't even actually kind of forgot about that until today. But like, it's a real thing, and especially today, and especially the online bullying. So if it is something that you are, getting bullied by somebody, stand up, right? Make a stand, reach out to somebody, ask for help, in terms of having that. Don't be silent on that itself. And even like, again, the online world is so easy because people can hide behind comments all the time. Don't be a dick, like, and I wasn't really going to talk about this, but last night, right? Like, somebody, Evan had sent a friend request to somebody.
I was going to say, like, calling someone a pedophile and
calling somebody a pedophile, right? Like Evan sent this guy a friend request. You know what? Okay, we send friend requests to people and we have a conversation because we want to provide value, right? Like, it is what it is. Like, that's part of how our hustle is done. Jordan Harrison's laughing in the group right now. He was actually one of the ones that took a screenshot and sent it. He's like, hey, this guy's, jumping up on your business partner. And so I read it, and like, the comments were fucking hilarious. But the guy responds back, he's like, either you're a sleazy salesman or you're a pedophile because I got kids on my photo. Like, man, you jumping right to pedophile. Like, that's a pretty harsh insult to somebody, to call somebody a pedophile. Like, sleazy salesman, fuck whatever, I don't give a shit. I've been called worse than that. Like, okay, at the end of the day, hey, we have a product to sell, but we're not going to sell you something that you don't need. Right. But what I found funny actually in this group was that of the post ended up getting deleted. I don't know if an admin deleted or if the buddy took it down, but it completely backfired on him because like 75% of the people were calling him, were basically bullying him in return, which was like kind of, two wrongs don't make it right. But in this case, it was funny. But then other people were actually like, no, like, Evan's a great guy, and like I made a couple comments on some of the stuff, and they're like, yeah, you know what, these guys are legit. They put videos out, they give knowledge to people, and hey, you know what, I've watched a few episodes, I've gained some tips. They have never really hard sold me or pushed me on the business whatsoever. So like, you know what, step off your ego sometimes, guys, when you're on the online world, and just get over yourself and spread love, not hate. Gary Vee says that all the time. The more love that we can spread in the world, the better it's going to be. So anyways, that's my long-winded anti-bullying rant for the day. So be kind.
I remember that with I got a twin brother, and growing up in Boy Scouts, he may get pissed at me if he sees this, but I mean, he was a lot chunkier than I am, and he got fucked with all the time. And there was one guy that would always fuck with him, and I finally got pissed off enough because he threw him in a dumpster. In a camp dumpster at a Boy Scout camp. You know how fucking dirty those dumpsters are? Well, they chunked him inside it. I had to go help him out. I'm like, which one did it? Well, I ended up confronting the guy that's probably 4 inches taller than I am and a lot bigger than I am. And dude knocked me out, but knocked me right into a bush where there was a 2x4 laying on the floor. And I grabbed that 2x4, turned right around, whack, dislocated his jaw, and he never fucked with him again.
Yep.
But I mean, yeah, the whole bullying thing, dude, I don't put up with, man. I've seen it as a kid, and I've seen it with other kids, and it's nonsense. It's stupid.
Yep. You're going to the easiest form of making fun of somebody. Well, just don't do it. Like, okay, there's sarcasm. That's one thing. But being a bully is completely different.
More often than not, it's because of something that's inadequate in themselves that they see in themselves.
Yeah.
Right? There's two ways that you can have the tallest building in town. Either build yours bigger or tear others down. So which one are you going to go after? Right. Yep. And unfortunately with bullies, that's often what the route that they go is just tearing other people down. Well, because building theirs up is too scary.
Yeah. And it's easier to tear other things down than build yourself up, right? I mean, you do what's right, not what's easy. And the easy path is one of those versus actually taking the high and the righteous road. So
there you go. Anyways, rant over. All right.
Rant over.
Jonathan, one last question for you, brother. Hold on. We ain't done yet.
No, I was going to say cheers to that.
There you go. Right,
cheers to the
rant. We need it. What is one question that you wish people would ask you more, but they don't?
I knew you were going to ask me this. So all this week, I've been thinking about that one fucking question. And honestly, the one question is, why should I pick you?
Okay, so why
should I pick you, and why should I pick your company? And the biggest thing for me is instilling. My biggest thing that I instill in my customers is I could have picked any fucking name I wanted to for a company. Anybody can. I specifically chose Loyal Home Service because one, my number one loyalty is to you as my customer. Two is to your family because I'm going to treat your home exactly how I treat mine. I wouldn't want anything in your home that I wouldn't want in mine for the safety of my family. And that to me, that's been huge because I've thought about it all goddamn week.
I love the fact that we asked you the question, you came up with the question, but then you answered it for us, so we didn't have to ask you the question.
That's perfect.
No, I knew it. I knew it was coming. I was just waiting, like, give me that fucking question because I got it.
I love it. Actually, one thing I just realized we did not do was the random question generator, but I think that is a good note to end the show on is the Loyal Home Services because and that again, that circles back to honesty and transparency, right? What do you want in your own home? I'm going to be loyal to you, but I'm going to do right by you. And when you do right by others, you're going to have an even greater level of success. So Thank you again, Jonathan, for taking the time out of your day to have a couple whiskeys with a couple crazy Canadians on that. And I know we were chatting a little bit before. Hopefully everything is returning back to normal down for you guys in Texas with everything that happened down there. Our hearts do go out to you guys. I know we do make a little bit of fun because it's like, yeah, we deal with it 6 months of the year, but you guys' shit's not ready for it. So it's not designed for it. It's not made for it. So hopefully everything's returning back to normal. And again, thanks. Until next time.
Cheers,
Cheers.
guys.
Hey, thanks for watching another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. That URL one more time, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one little golden nugget of information from this show, no matter how big, no matter how small, what we ask is you introduce this show to one person in your contacts list. That's it. That's all we ask. Introduce it to one person in your contacts list so they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time, cheers.